I am Ravi Kumar Murarkar, Chartered Accountant and Company Secretary. Today, we are going to discuss the topic of cash flow management. This is a very important topic. This is the ultimate reality to successful businesses. This topic is very important to every entrepreneur, whether he is doing 5 crore business or 50 crore business or 500 crore business. For every MSME entrepreneur, cash flow management is very important. So, we are now starting with the topic. So in this topic, we are covering what is cash flow. If you see from where the cash flow is coming to the organization, these are the very 5 important sources from which the cash flow is introduced in the organization. One is capital, the capital which was introduced by the partners, proprietors, or introduced as a share capital in case of private limited companies. Second one is the sales, whatever we are realized after selling of our products and revenues. Third is the loans, whatever we are taking the loans from our relatives or from banks or from any other sources. And then the debtors. And the last part is the sale of assets. The cash was utilized in the business in the various forms like creditors, expenses, taxes, we have to pay to the bank as an interest and as well as the fixed assets. We will pay to the bank for the repayment of loans also other than the interest. So this is the cash flow. There is the inflow side is there, that is the outflow side is there. And if the inflows are better, that is better for the organization. That is resultant in the profit. So now it is clear that what is the cash flow? Why manage cash flows? Why cash flow management is important? Because if you see the past history or if you see the data, 82% of the businesses fail because of poor cash flow management. When the companies are formed, between 1 to 5 years, the companies are dead due to improper cash flow management. So the cash flow is very important for managing the things. The next important thing is that we have to plan the growth and expansion. If you want to grow your business, then the cash flow is also very important. If you have the surplus, then you can plan for the growth. Cash flow is important for decision making, and the decision making is important for every aspect of the business. Tracking spend, what are the expenses you incurred in the last month, in the last quarter, and in the last year. So that cash flow is required. And the creditability. If I take the example of creditability, that is very important. Because what happening, if you pay your creditors on time, there will be the creditability. If you pay to the banks, then you are creditable. If you keep your commitments of cash flows, then your creditability is there in the market. That is simple. If there is no negative cash flow and there is no scarcity of cash flow, then you can keep more focus on your core business activity. Otherwise, you are in the firefighting all over the time. And the most important thing that if you manage the cash flow properly, then you can avoid the debt trap also. And now we are moving towards the topic, cash flow is not profit. Because many of entrepreneurs feel that the cash flow is equal to profit. No, it is not like that. Profit is equal to revenue minus expenses, whereas cash flow is equal to inflow minus outflow of cash. This is very clear formula that we are calculating the profit by simply deducting the expenses from the revenue, but the cash flow is ascertained by total inflow minus total outflow of the cash of the particular period. Profit we are calculating on accrual basis. However, the cash flow is always calculated on the cash basis, not the accrual basis. If you think that the accrual basis, if you want to clear what is the meaning of accrual basis, the particular period revenue is accounted for in that period only. That cannot be continued for the next months. Profit does not consider bank loan, purchase of assets, capital raised, etc. Whereas the cash flow considers any kind of movement of cash in the business. Profit can be manipulated. If I use the word manipulated, that doesn't mean that this was intentionally manipulated. But what happens in the organization, sometimes the profits are decreased, sometimes the profits are increased due to the external factors. But cash flow is real and can't be manipulated. Profit is calculated by preparing the profit and loss account, whereas cash flow is cash flow statement. So effective financial management will come only when both cash flow and the profit and loss account should be analyzed together. Hope I am able to explain you the proper cash flow system and you are clear on this proper cash flow system. Problematic cash flow, how the cash flow troubles are started in the organization, how we can identify that there are issues in the cash flow. The most important thing or one of the important thing is that there is a profit in the books, but there is no money to pay the salaries and the other expenses. So in that situation, we can conclude that the cash flow was not properly managed by the concern because the profit are there in the books, but somehow there is no money available for the salaries. The second important factor is that there is a salary shortfalls, means There is no sufficient cash to pay the salaries. The organization is missing creditors' payments on due dates. The management is not able to pay the creditors on the committed dates. The working capital cycle was not properly maintained. This is also resulting in the credibility of the organization. There is no enough money to pay the bank interest. If the salaries are met, the companies are not able to pay the bank interest. Expansion sounds like a nightmare. The entrepreneur cannot think about the expansion because there is no enough cash flows. There is no enough thing or profit in the organization. There is an increase in dead stock. I can tell you a few situations when this dead stock is become the nightmare for any organization, because this dead stock will carry the interest will also carry the space, and ultimately all the organizational administration expenses like rent and everything is increasing to maintain this dead stock. There is increase in overdue receivable. If there is an increase in overdue receivable, there is a signs of cash flow negativity. The client customers often negotiating while making payments. This is also the very bad signature. If the client's customers are started negotiating, they're asking for more and more discount, then the cash flow issues are there. Can't even think of paying ourselves. There is no money left for the promoters to take for their efforts. These are the signs in which we can say that there is a cash flow issues are there in the organizations. Now we are coming to the third topic of this cash flow. That is the component for cash flow. What are the component of these cash flows? If you're talking about the proper cash flow management, then we must sure aware of that. What are the component of this cash flow? What are the factors to be taken into consideration through which we can manage the cash flow? The first important thing is that the cash flow management can be done if there is a profitable business. That means whatever you are realizing by selling your products minus expenses, that will result in a gross profit. And if you deduct your expenses, that will be result in the net profit. So the profitability is the very important. The second important thing is the working capital. How you manage your working capital is also important to manage your cash flow management. How many credit number of days you are offering to your debtors? How many number of days credit was offered by your creditors? And how much inventory you are maintaining in your business? All these factors are important for working capital management, and in turn, working capital is important for cash flow management. The next important thing is that investing. If you have the cash, what is the position of your investment? What is the amount required in machinery investment? What is the amount requirement in your real estate investment, that is properties? And the third thing is that what are the other investment required by your business? Or what is your personal investments are there? Because ultimately, in so many MSME cases, personal investment are also very important. The fourth important component is the financing. Because how you finance your business, that is also important part of the cash flow. If you are taking the loan, you are required to pay the interest, and ultimately your cash flow will be out. You are required to repay the loan on time. You require cash flow for that repayment. And then what is the amount of your capital you have bring in? What is the amount of dividend you require from your business? So all these part of your component of a proper cash flow. Then this question arises: how to overcome cash flow challenges? For any businessman, it is necessary to know how to overcome cash flow challenges. If they are aware, then they should take the proper action. And by taking the proper action, they will mitigate themselves from losses and do their businesses properly. So these are the components of how to overcome cash flow challenges. The first important point is that creating a cash flow reserve. You have to create that cash reserve for your business for any unforeseen circumstances. So if there is any unforeseen circumstances arises, you have enough cash to tackle that thing. The second important thing is that you require to prepare the cash flow statement. You should prepare your cash flow statement of the past and also prepare the cash flow statement for the next quarter at least. If you are able to make the cash flow statement for the next year, then this will be very good for you, that you are able to predict for your business. The third important point is that you should focus on financial education. You should learn about your financial education. You are the expert in your business, but you should have the basic knowledge of your finance education. You should not depend on your chartered accountant to advise you on daily basis. You should be able to take your decisions, your financial decision yourself. The decision which will prosper your business, not the decisions which will create the losses for your business. You have to implement the tailored financial strategies. If you require, you can take help of your chartered accountant, but you should prepare the financial strategies for your business. at least for the short term. And this short term will going to result in the long-term financial strategies. You can also maintain your separate bank account for taxes. By maintaining the separate bank account for taxes, you are not defaulting in taxes, and the taxes are paid on time. You should realize that there should be strong focus on your receivables. If there is no focus on receivable, then there is an issue. There should be proper follow-up with all the receivables. There should be proper credit policy for all the receivables. And I already covered that you should not only prepare the cash flow statement, you should prepare at least for the next 3 months. And the last important point is that never take loan to solve the crisis. You should try to resolve your business crisis by doing the other things. Thank you.